Hello and welcome to Chapter 9 in this series of tutorials for Excel beginners. In this tutorial we're going to start looking at Microsoft Excel charts. So I'll create a chart and then you'll get an idea of how easy it all is to do. The first thing I need to do is select some data for my chart. Now what I'd like to have the chart display is very simply the number of rentals for each movie. So the information I need is obviously the movie titles here and the rental information here. Now I need to select the data here, obviously in column A, that's straightforward, and I also need to select the data in column C but skip column B. And to do that all I'm going to do is hold down the control key and select everything in column C, the label and the actual rental information there, the rental numbers. Okay, so I'm happy with that selection there, and once I've done that I can just go to the chart wizard button up here, click on the chart wizard button, just bring that dialog into view. And you'll see you have an awful lot of different options here on the chart choices. You've got pie charts, line charts, scatter diagrams, donut charts, a myriad options, and even all these different ones in custom types as well. I believe there are even more choices in Excel 2007 just in case there aren't enough here. However, I'm going to keep it fairly simple on this occasion. I'm simply going to choose a 2D column chart. I won't go through the various steps of the chart wizard here. I'll cover that in another tutorial. So let's just say I'm happy with the choice I've made there. I can get a quick preview of the chart by clicking this press and hold to view sample button. Happy with that, and I'll just click the finish button there. And there is my chart. Now it doesn't look very impressive at the moment, I'm sure you'll agree, so I'm going to make some changes to it. The first change I'll make is the size. Now, when I actually want to print the chart, I've got a rough idea how big I want it to be corresponding to the data on the table there. So I'll just make it a bit bigger, and I can see that's a bit better now, I can work on it. The first thing I'm going to do is delete this legend box here, because it's completely redundant. We've got the label twice in fact. This is the chart label, or chart title as it says, and this is the legend box. I'm going to select that, simply point and click, and press the delete button and get rid of that. I'm also going to resize the font on the labels here at the moment. If I click on the category axis which contains the titles there, so select that, you'll see in the font size it says 12 at the moment, so I'm going to click on the drop down box and reduce that to 8. And you'll see straight away it's resized those labels and they look a bit tidier. I'm also going to change the value axis, so click on the numbers there and resize those to 8, and that looks a bit better as well. Now I'm also going to resize the plot area. Now there are two areas to a chart, I should tell you. That you've got the chart area up here, which if you like is the whole area that your chart is encompasses the chart, and then the plot area is the actual useful bit that contains the data and the picture. And what I'm going to do is select the plot area. As you can see, it highlights the plot area by putting these little drag handles around the edge, and I'm going to drag the plot area to the very edges of the chart area just to increase the size there. You see it's also already starting to look a little bit more like a chart. And I'll move that rentals label over to the left there simply by clicking and dragging. I'm going to make that stand out a bit more by making it bold. Putting a background on, not red, yellow, that's better. So it stands out a bit more. Okay, I'll also highlight these labels a bit, I'll make them bold, so click the numbers there, bold, click my titles, click B for bold, that stands out a bit better. And I'm also going to change the bars. Now, I can change the colours fairly simply by clicking any one of the bars, it highlights them all, and I can just use my colours here in the fill colour palette to select virtually any colour I want, but I can also do a thing called fill effects. Now I won't use the fill colour palette, I'll close that down. Oh, notice my chart, my bars have gone invisible there, which is because I've selected grey I think. But if I right click on the column and go to format data series, we get this other dialog box, and I'm going to the patterns tab at the beginning, come to fill effects, and what I'm going to do here is choose a picture. So if I click on picture, go to select picture, and I've got a few pictures here, but what I want is this film strip image, which will be appropriate for my movies chart. Click insert. On the format here I'm going to select stack, and you'll see why in a second. There is a stretch option. Now stretch actually stretches the image to the height of the column, but I want it to stack, so the image appears multiple times for each column, as you will see in a second. So I just click OK to say I'm happy with that picture. Click OK one more time, and it puts these little movie strip images onto my column. Now, let's say I don't want my columns to be that skinny. I want them to be a bit chunkier. I can right click again on the series, go to Format Data Series, and this time if you come to the tab that says Options, you'll see what we have is this option that says Gap Width. Now I'm going to reduce the gap width, which is obviously the gap between the columns, to 100. If I click on that little button there, sometimes it's quite hard to click on because it's so small. There we go, take it down to 100, click OK, and you'll see the columns now are looking a bit more healthy. The final thing I'll do here is on the background I'm going to put another picture. So I find my plot area, make sure the little label pops up, click on that, right click, go to Format Plot Area, come to Fill Effects again, come to Picture, select Picture, and this time I'm going to choose one of these Hollywood sign backgrounds. I'll choose there's another one there with a clearer sky on it, which I'm going to select. So I'm going to insert that, click OK, OK to say I'm happy with that picture, and there we get a Hollywood sign background, which you may say is more appropriate to this type of chart. The background, instead of being white, I might want to change that as well. So I can go up here, select my chart area, right click, Format Chart Area, and I'll put a fill effect on, and I'll choose a 2-color effect. And let's say we have this sky blue perhaps, and for colour number 2 we'll choose this sort of light turquoise. Yeah, I know, I'm not artistic, but never mind. We'll choose a diagonal fill, maybe one of these sort of banded ones here. You've got 4 different choices there if you want. I'll let you select your own. However, that'll do for me. Click OK, and we'll get the sort of light blue background as well for the chart. So you see there in a few clicks really we've managed to improve that chart quite considerably. You can format any of these elements on the chart individually simply by clicking and selecting. Every time you click, you're selecting an element of the chart. They're all completely independent. So you have the value axis, you have your category axis, you have your series information, the columns. You can even independently select one of the columns. The way to do that is first of all click to select all the columns, and then click again to select one individual column, and then you can right click and format that one data point in a different way if you want to. So if I change the colour to yellow, click OK, and that then stands out with a different colour. If I don't want to do that, obviously, as with anything on Excel, you can click the undo button and revert to how it was before. If you want to change the lines or delete the lines, the axes grid lines, you can click the grid lines and press delete, and they're gone. Click undo, I'll bring those back again. But the best thing that I can tell you to keep in mind about creating a chart is that somebody will have to look at the chart and understand it. And the best thing you can do is keep the chart nice and simple, not too complicated, so that when somebody sees that chart they say, yes, I understand what that information is trying, or that chart is trying to tell me. There's one thing I can add here, just one final thing perhaps. At the moment it's not clear exactly what each of these columns represents exactly. When they're close to the grid lines you can read across and say, oh, that's 12, maybe that one is 9, and so on and so forth. But you can actually put the values on as well. So if I click, or right click there, go to Format Data Series, come to Data Labels, click Show Value, click OK, puts the labels on. I'm going to change those to make them stand out. So if I click them, I'm going to put a red background on, and I'm going to change the font colour to yellow, make it bold, and I'll also change the font size down a wee bit to 10, so it's not too gaudy. Click away, and there we are. That chart is done. I'm happy with that. Now if I just zoom out on my spreadsheet to 75%, I'm going to position that chart finally. I'm going to click and drag down so it's below my data. There we go, that's nicely positioned there. So when I go to print it, I will have my data table at the top and my chart just below it, illustrating it. And if I finally just click on print preview there, so there we go, I could print that out and hopefully impress somebody with it. You never know. So I'll close that print preview, and there we are, that's all done. I'll save that again, and that concludes this first look at charts, just to illustrate how you get a chart on the screen first of all, and some of the clever things you can do to format your charts and make them look quite impressive. So thank you for watching this video, hope that was useful for you, and see you next time.